SPCR Masterclass on NIHR Leadership and Development Programme. We are very kindly joined today by Lucy Jowett, Sarah Howarth and Richard Partington, who will be presenting today. I would like to make everybody aware we are recording this meeting, and a recording will be going on our website later. If you would like to ask questions, we would ask you to put them in our chat function. Alternatively, you can raise your hand and we will unmute you and you can ask the question yourself. So I'll now pass over to Sarah and Lucy to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Rebecca, and good morning, everybody. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us for this session. So we're going to be looking at the leadership development support that's available at NIHR. I'm Sarah Howarth and I'm one of the Senior Development and Support Managers here at NIHR. I've got strategic oversight of the NIHR mentoring provision, and I'm going to be delivering this session along with my colleague Lucy, and I'll hand over to her to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, lovely to see you this morning. I'm Lucy, Senior Development and Support Manager at the NIHR Academy, and as Sarah said, Sarah's counterpart and I look after the Leadership Development Programme here, which consists of the Future Focus Leadership Programme and our additional development resources as well, so our workshops, webinars and e-learning series, which we'll talk you through today. So it's lovely to be here and really looking forward to the session.
Lovely, thank you, Lucy. So if we just move on to the next slide, this is what we're going to be looking at today in the next. So we're going to start off by looking at the mentoring programme. Then we'll take a look at the Future Focus Leadership Programme. We're going to talk about the application process for both. We're also going to have a chat with our FFLP delegate, Richard. And then we're going to move on to look at additional resources such as modular and online resources. So on the next slide, what have we got available to access for Academy members? So we've got a wide range of leadership development opportunities for members and also associate members, and these run throughout the year. So some resources do have specific eligibility requirement. However, all of our webinars and e-learning resources are available to anyone working or supporting health and care research. So these are our resources. We've got the NIHR Mentoring Programme, the Future Focus Leadership Programme, and the leadership development resources, which are our workshops, webinars and e-learning modules. Now, can you help us spread the word? We would really like to see an increase in engagement from all of our members that are on an academic path within the NIHR infrastructure and schools. So to help us spread the word about all of these opportunities, you can do any of the following. So you can discuss it with your academic career development leads, and for the SPCR, that is Professor Hazel Everett and Professor Steph Taylor. You can keep an eye on the NIHR events page for any upcoming events, workshops and webinars. You can reach out to us at our email address, which we will share with you further on. And if you've got any specific questions, concerns, or even just queries about eligibility, you can always reach out to us. And you can share our more broadly available resources with any of your networks as you see fit. So that's things like our e-learning modules, the webinar recordings, and of course our topic guides. So firstly, we're going to look at the mentoring programme. So on the next slide, we can just give you a few key facts about the programme. So the first cohort was launched in February 2021, and the programme supports final year PhD and postdoctoral academy members to find a mentor to aid their career development. It is a formal 12-month mentoring programme, and it's fully supported by a suite of continued professional development events and resources. The programme has been guided by a steering group, and the membership is representative of Academy members. We do have Georgina Fletcher on our steering group, who of course is part of the SPCR. And to date, we have supported over 400 matched mentoring pairs. On the next slide, we can look at the overarching aim of the programme, and that is to support the academic and career development of our doctoral and postdoctoral communities. This is done by implementing the programme objectives, the first of which is to extend the NIHR Academy mentoring offer. So historically, the offered mentoring was via the Academy of Medical Sciences. However, it was only available to medically qualified Academy members. And part of our strategic review in 2019, it was decided to bring the programme in-house and offer mentoring to all Academy members at a specified career stage. regardless of professional background. We promote interdisciplinary and support mentoring relationships between individuals from different organisations and institutions. And finally, we promote equality, diversity and inclusion through engagement with and learning from underrepresented groups. On the next slide, I'm just going to talk you through our eligibility criteria. So we do have 2 streams to our mentoring programme, one for early and one for mid-career researchers, and that helps to provide mentoring tailored to specific career stages. So the mentee eligibility, as you can see here, so it's an NIHR Academy member, and for the early career researchers, that's in your final year of your PhD or up to 2 years postdoctoral. And then for the mid-career researcher stream, that's an Academy member that is 2 years postdoctoral and above. Now, the mentor eligibility is slightly different. So for the early career researcher stream, that's a mid-career NIHR Academy member or an associate member who can support early career researchers at a transitional point in their career. And then for our mid-career researcher stream, that would be senior leaders who are NIHR Academy members or again associate members who can support mid-career researchers. On this next slide, I'm going to take a quick look at our continued professional development offer. So the programme is supported by a full suite of CPD, so that's events and resources. We've got virtual 1 hour and 2.5 hour workshop, and these cover a whole host of topics that explore all the different stages of the mentoring relationship. So that could be how to start a relationship, how to maintain momentum. And we've also got more topical issues that are relevant to mentoring, things such as navigating imposter syndrome, managing networks and building relationships, and also how you manage that transition from a mentee to a mentor. We offer full day in-person regional events, and the full event days cover all the different stages of the mentoring relationship and some of the content that's covered in our topical sessions. And we typically run about 5 events per year, and that's in locations all over the country. And the additional resources include pre-recorded webinars and online topic guides, and those resources are available to everybody, not just programme participants. And in addition, all programme participants have got access to peer support sessions and a mentoring book club as well, which is newly launched, and the first session is actually taking place tomorrow. The mentoring programme has adopted a continuous improvement approach to its development over the last 4 years. And we've made several changes and improvements that have actually seen the programme grow from 75 matched pairs a year to just over 180 matched pairs per year. We do have a mixed method evaluation approach that includes interim and end of programme surveys, matched pair interviews, mentee and mentor focus groups, and also longitudinal evaluations completed 12 months post completion. What this approach means is that it's enabled us to make really significant improvements and really listen to the voices of all of our participants. And we're really proud of what our mentors and mentees say about the programme. And all of our programme and annual reports, they can be found on our website if any of you do want to learn a bit more about that. On the next slide, I've actually popped a few comments from some of our programme participants. So these are from both mentees and mentors. Our programme, it is reciprocal in nature, and mentors do develop alongside the mentees. And all of these comments do echo that sentiment. I'm not going to read through them all, but some of the key things that we do see emerging, it's building confidence, managing imposter syndrome, or what some people call the inner voice. Having that impartial sounding board from a mentor. Supporting with future plans, developing a career trajectory. A lot of our mentees talk about, I like to talk to someone who's been there and done it and who can just relate to me. Another thing that we see is just having that space to reflect. And then, of course, building relationships and networking is also a key theme that we really see from all of our programme participants. So just on to the next slide. How do you apply for the programme? The next cohort, which is our final cohort of this year, opens for expression of interest on Tuesday, the 9th of September, and that will be open for a period of 6 weeks, with mentoring relationships starting in late November. You can get all the details on how to apply, all the eligibility requirements, And the links for the expression of interest forms are all found on our website, and there's a QR code there at the bottom as well. But if you do just have any questions or just want a bit more information, then you can just email us, myself and the team, at the email address that you can see below. One thing that we get asked quite a lot is, what is a good mentoring application? So on this next slide, we have got a few do's and don'ts. So do give as much information as possible in the free type response boxes. You can never write enough. We always want to know more about you, because that is actually how we match you. So talk about your plans, talk about your goals, your ambitions. What do you want to achieve? Help us get to know you. And if you've got any specific preferences, do communicate them. That could be things like you want to be matched with someone from the same professional background as you, or someone with similar research interests. You can be as specific as you want. And give us as much information as possible about your award, previous awards, affiliation to NIHR. That really helps us to confirm your eligibility and understand how you've got to where you've got to today. And we can usually help you right away if you need any support, just to help you progress your application. Now, we've got a wide range of resources that are available to everybody, not just Academy members, that might be able to help you with your mentoring journey. That includes our annual reports and our case studies. We've also got our mentoring webinar playlist, which is available on the NIHR TV YouTube channel, and all of our online topic guides. I've listed our topic guides here on the next slide. You can see we've got a lot of them, and we are also constantly writing new ones and developing. I'm actually currently writing 2 that should be ready in the next couple of months. So you can see we've got all the different stages of the mentoring relationship, from before you start, beginning, planning the purpose and goals, right through to how to close your relationship, celebrate success, how to transition from a mentee to a mentor, and then also our topical guides about managing imposter syndrome and building networks and connections. So I'm actually now going to hand over to Lucy, and Lucy's going to talk to you about all of our other leadership development provisions.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So I'll kick off with a little bit of background information about the Future Focus Leadership Programme, what streams are available and how you can apply to the programme if you're interested. So I will kick off. What is the Future Focus Leadership Programme, first of all? So the FFLP, or Future Focus Leadership Programme, is a fully funded 12-month programme which enables our leaders to develop their capabilities and effectiveness. And we do this on the programme by identifying and reflecting on your strengths and areas for development. It's built around our bespoke NIHR leadership framework, of which the core pillars are lead self, lead others, and lead beyond authority. And all of those wider resources in our offer, so our workshops, webinars and e-learning, are all built around this framework, which was designed specifically for NIHR and was really looking at the challenges that leaders were facing across the organisation and out in the research community as well. So the programme itself is arranged into 2 different streams, targeting 2 distinct groups of leaders. So we've got our Emerging Research Leaders stream, or the ERL stream as we call it. We've got to have an acronym, of course. So the Emerging Research Leaders stream is for early to mid-career researchers who are on an academic track. The idea is that you're taking up your first significant leadership and management role. And really, this programme will enable you to collaboratively explore leadership in health and care research and what it means at an individual, team, institution and system level in order to improve your capability. So the eligibility for this stream of the programme is that you'll be an NIHR Academy member, an early to mid-career researcher, and as well at least 2 years postdoctoral. And I'm sure you'll be aware that to meet the Academy membership within our infrastructure or capacity building structures, you must satisfy the 3 points of eligibility to be undertaking a formal training or career development award, receive at least 25% of funding for your salary from the NIHR, and be hosted in a setting for with a remit for research capacity development as well. So the Leaders stream is our next stream of the Future Focus Leadership Programme. And this stream of the programme is available for our current leaders based within the NIHR who are leading strategically or delivering a national role for the organisation. And the idea with this stream is that you'll be taking up leadership roles at a senior level. You'll be facing significant leadership challenges where the support will be most needed and impactful for you. And really, it's looking at enhancing your skills at leading across organisational boundaries, leading strategy and change, and influencing others around achieving the strategic aims of the NIHR as well. So to be eligible, you must be one of the below. So to currently lead at national level for NIHR, have demonstrable influence as part of NIHR, or you might hold one of our senior awards, so a research professorship or a senior investigator award. And now, just to give you an idea of the sorts of roles that we've seen on the programme, we've had our kind of national speciality and settings leads based across the regional research delivery network, our academic career development leads, incubator leads as well, or chairs and co-chairs of governance boards or selection committees across the NIHR, or internal staff as well, working across the organisation at a senior leadership level. So what's the programme format? The Future Focused Leadership Programme is a 12-month programme, and you'll be able to apply the insights you uncover and the new skills you learn to your current role throughout the year. So you'll be encouraged to network on the programme and share your experience and learning with a diverse multidisciplinary cohort. And I think echoing the mentoring programme about that multidisciplinary approach, we strive for our cohorts to be as diverse as possible and to mix you with people who you may not mix with on a day-to-day basis as well. So it's found to be, in the feedback, a really kind of impactful and rich experience in terms of building broader networks across the NIHR. So as I say, the programme is 12 months long. There are 40 delegates on a cohort, and that really gives the chance to have a broad network, but also then there's lots of kind of small group work and things like that, and peer coaching. So a really nice broad network, but you'll be broken up into smaller groups and coaching pairs as well. There are 3 two-day in-person residential workshops. And again, that leadership framework that I mentioned around lead self, leading others and leading beyond authority, those residentials are built around that journey of kind of looking at yourself, looking outwards, and then looking beyond your kind of strategic influence, if you like. There are also opportunities for one-to-one coaching with an experienced coach and action learning as well. And as I say, networking opportunities with the rest of your cohort. We do have a bit of an overview here, so when we send out the slides following the session, please do feel free to dig into the information to learn a bit more. I've got here an example programme timetable as well. So I will talk you through, and we've got this broken down by the delivery month, the event, and also the mode of delivery as well. So some aspects are virtual, and then those core residentials are face-to-face. So month 1 sees a kick-off call of the programme, and this is where participants are informed about the learning journey ahead, the tools and resources that they'll have at their disposal, and just an opportunity really to informally begin to meet the cohort on that virtual call. There are also 2 feedback and coaching sessions, and these take place at month 1 and month 11. And the idea is that participants complete what we call a strengths profile and 360 assessment report, and these sessions are debriefed with a one-to-one coach. So participants have the opportunity to reflect on how they can use their combinations of strengths that come through in their strengths profile to develop their leadership approach. And the repeat of this exercise at the end of the programme enables the participant to see how they've developed their strengths throughout their time on the programme and in line with that NIHR leadership framework as well. Months 3 to 4 see us deliver the first residential, which is lead self and nurture others. And really this builds on the insights from the strengths profile and explores how participants can communicate their strengths to others and develop an inclusive culture, drawing out the strengths of those around them and coaching their team as well. We then have in month 5 to 6 residential 2, which is collaborate, so another 2-day face-to-face workshop. And this residential explores all elements of how to collaborate effectively across a complex system, how to maintain focus on strategic goals to collaborate smarter and not harder, and engage others and build trust. We then have at month 7 action learning. So after residential 2, participants form small virtual action learning sets that will meet again between the residentials to support each other on real world challenges. Month 8, you'll see that there is an opportunity to have a free flow coaching session with an experienced coach. So this isn't necessarily linked to those 2 bookending sessions, but another opportunity in the journey to have a coaching session where you're asked to reflect on a challenge to bring to the session to discuss with the coach. Month time 9 to 10, we have the Leading Beyond Authority Residential. And this final residential develops participant skills to lead beyond authority and explore how to empower and inspire teams and influence people at all levels of the landscape that you're working in. So the final day of that is about challenging each other to think about the wider system and build an entrepreneurial mindset and political astuteness in yourselves and your teams. And then finally, we have at month 12, the close of the programme. So another virtual session to bookend that. And really, this is just about giving you the time to reflect on the journey that you've been on, your key successes, learnings, and consider your area of focus for the future. We do find that participants keep in touch beyond the programme. It's not necessarily facilitated formally by us, but we've known participants to kind of create WhatsApp groups and things like that to keep in touch, which is really nice to see those networks going on beyond the programme as well. So a bit of information here about how to apply for the Future Focus Leadership Programme. So the Emerging Research Leader Stream, or ERL stream, is due to open for recruitment in September 2025, so in a couple of months' time. And that cohort will formally kick off in February 2026. And then our Leaders cohort will open for recruitment in January 26, and that will begin in the summer next year. Applications are usually open for around 6 to 8 weeks on our awards management system. Full details on the website, which please feel free to go have a look after this session. And we do have as well an expression of interest form. So if you'd like to be kept up to date on those future recruitment windows and don't want to miss them, if you bob us your email address across, we email out to our expression of interest list when we've opened for recruitment to give you that heads up that applications are now open and you'll have X amount of time to apply. And of course, if you've got any queries about anything, please feel free to reach out to us. We've just got a little bit of data here from our recent longitudinal survey. So it was the first time that we've trialled this, and this was with our cohort 1s from the programme. And this is data kind of taken a year post completion of the programme to see what's changed for them in the time since they completed it. So you'll see here, for example, our emerging research leaders, 100% of respondents said that they'd sustained programme form networks, and 95% said they were able to lead more effectively as well. As with the leaders cohort, 100% also said they'd maintained their peer networks, and 78% feel they'd enhanced their confidence in leading across organisational boundaries too. As with Sarah, we do often get asked, what does a good FFLP application look like? And so I've got a little bit of information here around what the application form looks like and some tips as well for completing your application. So I've bobbed here the application questions for the Emerging Research Leader stream of the programme. There's a couple more questions, some crossover for the Leader stream, but I thought I'd focus in just on the Emerging Research Leader stream today. So we want the applicant to describe their current leadership role in their host organisation to us, what experience they have of leading a team or any supervision of other researchers. We also want that short summary of your academic career and wider leadership experience, so your collaboration experience and how you might have developed partnerships with patients and users of research as well. I think the key questions here are definitely around kind of why this is the right time to participate in your career in the Future Focus Leadership Programme and how it will benefit you, and also how your participation in this programme would benefit the NIHR as well. So top tips. A big one is utilise the full word count that we give you in the application process. It is a competitive process that has a limited number of places, so we can't necessarily support everybody who applies. Your application will go through a selection committee process, much like our career development awards and funding programmes. On average, we receive around 60 applications for 40 places per recruitment window. We do offer what we call a virtual leadership bite-sized programme as well, which is a shortened version of the Future Focus Leadership Programme. And anybody who the selection committee deem are not quite ready for the full programme may be offered a place on this bite-sized programme too. So we do have a supplementary offer, if you like, for people who are maybe not quite ready yet. Next is to be clear and fully articulate abbreviations or acronyms in full the first time you use them. Really important to not assume that the reviewer knows your area of work or specialism. So please be very specific if you're talking about any acronyms in terms of what you mean in the first instance, and let us know very clearly. So we've also got using honest and critical reflection to consider your achievements and areas in which you can improve, so that the reviewers want to know how this programme would benefit you and what value you get from NIHR's investment in you as a fully funded programme as well. We also want you to consider how your participation in the programme would benefit the NIHR. So really important to demonstrate your awareness of the strategic aims of NIHR and how your role or research meets them. And finally, including your main aspirations for your leadership role as well. So the reviewers want to know where you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years and how this programme will help get you there. Perfect. So that brings us on to our talk with Richard, who has kindly joined us today. So I don't know whether you want to say a quick hello, Richard, and I'll do a little intro before we jump into some questions.
Hello everyone. Yeah. So nice to see you all.
Perfect. So we've got Richard on the call today. So Richard's a GP and an NIHR academic clinical lecturer. He qualified in 2013 and completed a master's in 2016 and his PhD in 2019. Clinically, he works in North Lancashire, while for research is based at Keele University. Richard's PhD involved describing the epidemiology of polymyalgia rheumatica. Since then, his postdoctoral research has focused on drug safety, including studies of medications used for gout, antibiotics and glucocorticoids. Richard completed the Future Focus Leadership Programme Emerging Research Leader Stream very recently in May 2025. So as I say, we've just got a couple of questions to run through with Richard, which will hopefully provide some insight into his experience of the FFLP rather than me just talking about it. So Richard, it'd be great to hear about your original motivation for applying to the programme. Was there anything that struck you about it in terms of the application process?
So my motivation, so obviously you can see my background, so I'm an academic clinical lecturer, so I'm year 3 of 4, and it's that sort of transition phase from being while you do your PhD, you're sort of doing your work that you're giving yourself and you're sort of an independent researcher. As a postdoc, then it's leading grants and managing teams, and then eventually what the aim is then to progress to managing people who are leading grants and just making that sort of progression. So yeah, it was the motivation was trying to sort of formalize my learning that I have around leadership, that obviously you do it sort of without thinking within clinical practice, or wherever you happen to work, but it's very helpful to go to somewhere where you can have some sort of proper formalized training around this, so you can sort of get insight into what you do well, what you do, what you need to improve on, and also it was about the managing up and down is something that I think is important to sort of be aware of, that sometimes you've got people on your teams who are more senior than you are, and being able to lead within that environment where you are the junior person.
Amazing, thanks very much, Richard. So it sounds like really apt timing, and that idea of actually having that more formal training behind you, where perhaps you often in leadership and management you fall into leadership roles perhaps without out the backing or the kind of the formal training behind you. So it's great to hear that it came at an apt time for you. Amazing. It'd be great to hear as well how you found the application and onboarding process that we've just spoken through. Any nuggets there?
It was really straightforward, I've got to say. Like it's a relatively short piece of the application that you're asked to do, and I think it's just being, obviously you've not got a lot of words to play with, so just trying to be as clear and concise as possible about where you are, why you want to do it, and what you hope to achieve within the course. So I think it's mainly clear and concise, and just using up the whole word count, because you don't have an awful lot to discuss, but trying to explain clearly what you're going to achieve, what you're going to gain from doing this course is the main thing, and obviously you're trying to write persuasively. It's your main. Yeah.
Amazing, perfect. Thanks very much. So we've got a little bit of it'd be great to hear in terms of if you could summarise your experience on the programme in 3 words, if that's something you feel you could do. Have you got any summary points of how you found the programme?
So I think that sort of 3 words I came with, sort of insight and then change and network. I think were the 3 that I thought most of. So it's obviously a really in-depth programme and sort of challenges you in a number of different ways. There were lots of things that were very beneficial. So you start off with the multi-source feedback, and that's a really helpful sort of tool. So you first of all you do your own assessment of what your own leadership skills are, and then you're also sort of challenged to answer a number of questions, and then it sort of gives you a feedback about where the psychologists think you are and what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and how does that map against what your own insight is. And that's a very it's a very useful thing to do, to be able to sort of see the which bits that you see that you're good at and which bits that you maybe think that you're not quite as good at, but actually you may be actually perfectly good at that. And then also matching that along to the multi-source feedback that you have at the beginning of the course and at the end of the course. And obviously as a clinician, I'm used to receiving multi-source feedback, but I'm not around this specific issue around leadership. So that was very interesting. And also it's very nice to have, sometimes positive feedback is lovely to hear, but also having where there's areas that you want to improve, and when you're asking people who are senior to you and who work with you at the same level, what do they think and what of your sort of abilities. So yeah, the insight side of things is really important, and that does give you a really good idea about what your own strengths and what your challenges are. Change, obviously that you're sort of developing new skills or honing the skills that you already have. There was a lot in common I did notice between this course and communication skills that we do in general practices. So there's a big sort of crossover there, and I think it was just something I hadn't really put 2 and 2 together, that those 2 things are quite similar, and you can use the same skills that you've developed in other areas in leadership. And then networking, I think, is particularly, obviously that's for me personally, my clinical research is I have quite a small team, because it's a lot of it is data sort of analysis and things like that. So it was really helpful having a big cohort of 40 people who from completely different backgrounds, people that I would never meet in the normal course of my research and what I do. So yeah, I think that was a start.
Amazing, brilliant summary. And I think, like you say, that insight that probably came from actually looking at your strengths and areas for development. The kind of the bookends of the programme, really insightful to know how things have progressed as well, and possibly nice to receive, like you say, some positive feedback, and also almost holding the mirror up to know where you can develop and how you can use the programme and the tools to really develop. But it sounds like it was a really good and impactful experience for you, which is brilliant. So on that note, was there anything that you found particularly beneficial or impactful during your learning journey on the programme?
I think to me, having the opportunity to work with the leadership the coaches on a few occasions, sort of one-to-one, was probably the one of the most beneficial parts of it. So you rarely get the chance to sort of ever speak about yourself or think about yourself for any sort of prolonged length of time with someone that's got good insight into these things, and it's very very helpful to have that insight and that reflection from them. Have someone that's very senior and very sensible be able to sort of provide you, they can't provide you with advice, but they can help guide you towards making better decisions and managing better. And it's just that we don't often have time separated out to sort of look after ourselves and try and develop ourselves in that way. And so that was probably, I think, in terms of the most beneficial parts of it that I found. I mean, obviously the residentials were as well, and don't want to, obviously the residentials give you an opportunity. Again, it's getting away from clinical practice, getting away from your research and your day-to-day, being able to just focus on trying to develop yourself over those periods of time without interruptions and outside sort of interference is really helpful. And within the residentials, obviously you've been sort of given new skills or taught about new skills, and then given the opportunity to practice those skills in a place that you're not going to, you know, it's a no risk environment, you're not going to do anything wrong. And some skills you feel you already have, other skills, you know, for example, the entrepreneur side of things on the last residential is not something that I think personally comes naturally to me. And so having that opportunity to try and work on it in an environment where, you know, you're not, it's safe and can help you.
Amazing. Sounds great. Like you say, it seems like you found the programme a really kind of beneficial experience, and that safety of the cohort as well, in terms of confidentiality and being able to work on things that maybe, say, don't come naturally to you as well. So that sounds really, really good. It'd be great to know as well, Richard, you've fresh off the programme, so, you know, maybe a bit more time in terms of, you know, thinking about longer term benefits, but it'd be really interesting to know if you feel, you know, in any way, has the programme benefited you in your career so far?
I think short term, just in terms of, you know, hard skills around leadership, around, you know, how to best communicate with people and trying to get the job that you want done, you know, completed. Obviously, you know, helps improve sort of confidence, certainly. And I think building the network has been helpful. So getting to, as I said before, meet people from outside of my regular sort of circles has been very helpful, and gives me insight into other research ideas, and it's, you know, developed into, you know, some collaborations already that I've started working on. So that's been very helpful. And then also just about sort of clarity around career aims. So I think that, you know, I'm obviously on the emerging sort of side of things, and there's that sort of period of time where you're postdoc and you're trying to work out how you're going to develop and you know, as a researcher, and I think it's just allowing me clarity around that to sort of ensure that, so hopefully I'll be successful in sort of future. But yeah, I'm a little bit early to
Sounds amazing. Sounds like a great experience though, and I think really insightful, you know, to hear how you found it, and hopefully others will find that encouraging and useful as well if they're thinking about applying to the programme. So thank you for giving you time to speak to us today. That's been really good. And if anybody does have any questions, I'm thinking for Richard, there's going to be a Q&A section at the end, so maybe we take them at that point. There's a couple more slides to cover till we get there. So we'll do it that way, and I'll move on. But any questions for Richard, please do let us know in the Q&A section, and we can definitely pick that up. So I'll move on now to our leadership development resources. So these are our kind of more additional ad hoc resources beyond the Future Focus Leadership Programme. For example, if you don't quite meet the eligibility for the FFLP, or you may want something a little more kind of I guess vocational that you can dip into on an ad hoc basis that's not a 12-month programme. So we've got, first of all, our leadership e-learning and webinar series. So our leadership development resources are designed to enhance your leadership and management skills, and the resources cover a range of topics, and the idea is that they'll support you whether you're completely new to leadership or you're more experienced as a leader as well. They're very evergreen in that sense, is that they can be applied to somebody who has no leadership experience, or somebody who wants to brush up on their skills. So you can access these resources in either an e-learning or a webinar format. And essentially they're open to anybody who is working in or supporting health and care research. They're open access, so our e-learning modules can be accessed via NIHR Learn, and our webinars, we promote those via our NIHR events page, and we also put our recorded webinars up on NIHR TV on YouTube as well. So I've just got a little bit of a snapshot here in terms of our 40-minute modules on NIHR Learn. In terms of what we've got here, it's free to access on NIHR Learn as well. So you can find them by searching leadership e-learning modules within the interface. And then you'll see here, I mean, 14, 15 resources, something like that at this point. We've been roughly delivering a new module every couple of months for the past year and a half or so. So there's lots on offer now. We've got things like imposter phenomenon, strategic awareness, inspiring others with a clear vision. So different topics, again, built around that leadership framework. We've also got our webinars, which I discussed. So some of our previous webinars can be accessed on NIHR TV. So on NIHR TV, which you might want to tap into, we've got our presenting and public speaking webinar, which I think was our most attended webinar ever. I think we had 400-500 attendees for that one. It was a very, very busy one. We've also got inspiring others with a clear vision, agile working and staying flexible, and strategic awareness as well. And you'll find with the e-learning and webinar series that there is crossover in the topics. So for example, there's an inspiring others with a clear vision webinar. It's also available in an e-learning format, so you can decide ultimately, would I like to watch the webinar back, or do I fancy doing an e-learning module? You're more than welcome to do both, but obviously there might be some crossover in terms of the learning within that as well, but it might be nice to brush up either way if you fancy doing that. We also deliver workshops. So workshops are 3-hour virtual workshops, and they are a similar eligibility criteria for our Future Focused Leadership Programme Leaders Stream. So they're open to senior leaders who want to stretch or polish their ability, and each workshop has a maximum of 20 places, and really it's an opportunity to share, learn and try tools and techniques. So like with the Future Focused Leadership Programme workshops, you'll do some sessions in a larger group, and you'll also break off into smaller groups and do some kind of exercises as well in your own time on the workshop. So I've got some examples here. Again, workshops like with the webinars and e-learning, there's crossover in the topics in terms of what you will see there. So with imposter phenomenon, for example, we've got a webinar resource, an e-learning resource, and we've also delivered an imposter phenomenon workshop as well. Details of our forthcoming workshops, as with webinars, are always on the NIHR events page, so please do keep your eyes peeled on there. It's worth noting at the moment we're taking a little bit of a break just from the webinar and workshop delivery over the summer, but you'll start to see things on that events page over the autumn as well. So do keep your eyes peeled, and if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to answer. Perfect, and that wraps us up there, and I will be handing back over to Sarah just to introduce our Q&A section.
Lovely, thank you, Lucy. So that does conclude all of our content for this session. So I would like to thank you all so much for coming to us, and we really hope that you all take something away from this session about leadership development support and what opportunities are available here. So we are now going to open up the floor to any questions that you might have. So you can either pop those in the meeting chat and we'll read them out, or if you do want to unmute yourself and ask the question live to us, then just feel free to raise your hand, and then Rebecca will be able to unmute you, put your camera on, and you can ask us whatever's on your mind. Okay, so it looks like we've got one straight away from Gillian, and I do have one in the chat as well, which is actually a question from Richard. So I'm just going to read that one first. For those that might be coming to the end of their PhD and potentially struggling with imposter syndrome, could you offer any encouragement about putting yourself out there to apply in the first place? So Richard, that one's for you.
Remember to unmute myself. It's a really supportive sort of process. It's not a high intensity sort of program where you might feel that you're under pressure or anything like that. It's yes, you do things in it that perhaps might not come naturally if that's and I personally I'm not a big fan of role playing and things like that, and it's not my natural thing also, but it's not high stress or anything like that. It's very, very supportive environment. The people that are doing it have got a lot of experience in doing it. You're given every opportunity to do things in your own way. So yeah, I think it should the course itself should help with imposter syndrome. It's really helpful when you meet other people that are having the same sort of they're at the same stage of their career, and so a lot of the experiences you have and a lot of the the stresses or the questions that you have are very similar. And I always find it's quite a good cure for it when you see everyone else is feeling the same way. Maybe it's not actually unusual to have this feeling. So yeah, it's I definitely just go for it. It's not something that you'd be put under high stress for or anything like that, and it should help you with those types of feelings.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Richard, for that really great response there. And I think it's also worth noting as well, that because you specifically mentioned imposter syndrome too, that is something that both Lucy and I hear from feedback on our programs all the time. So we have actually developed quite a few resources that are all publicly available. So if anybody is struggling with imposter syndrome, we've got some webinars, we've got online topic guides, all which might help you to take that first step to apply to one of the programs. Another one in the chat, question for the team. Could you give a little bit more advice on answering the question about how your participation in the programme will benefit the NIHR strategic aim? Sometimes it can feel hard to pin down which one. So I think that's talking about which strategic aim to pin down, but Jess, I know that question's from you, so if I've got that wrong, please let me know.
No, I think it's more that sometimes those shift, and sometimes it's difficult to know, like, are we talking about research priorities? Are we talking about like the academy priorities? It's such, the NIHR can be such a beast. And I think for people who are outside it, thinking about that overarching, like, what is it that you want me to answer here, to kind of talk about the, you know, which it just feels like sometimes that could be a difficult question for people from outside of the NIHR to answer. So maybe it's more about some advice on how you would go about kind of deciding which one would be more appropriate to you, or just thinking about it in general.
I think from my perspective, I suppose obviously this ties into applying to the FFLP, but it definitely is around thinking about how those strategic aims and operating principles apply to you in your research. I don't really think, I know it's hard to kind of direct people, but I don't necessarily think that there's a right or wrong answer, because I think it's important not to just say what you think somebody wants to hear, but really thinking about that, how it does apply to you and your role and your research as well. And, you know, I guess, you know, linking in with if you've got any questions or queries, linking in with the team during the application process. You know, there's boundaries in place, but in a sense, we're more than happy to support if anybody's unsure of anything, and provide that guidance and a little bit of support as well.
Yep, absolutely agree with that. So with the mentoring program, because the mentoring program is very much centered around your needs as a mentee, so it would be around what strategic aims are most relevant to you. And then, but like Lucy said, there's no right or wrong answer. It's all about, you know, what will support your career journey. So we've got 2 hands up as well. So I'm going to go to Gillian first. So Gillian, what's your question?
Thanks, Sarah and Lucy and Richard. That was a really helpful session. My question is, I am planning to apply for the Development Skills Enhancement Award with the NIHR, and what I'd wanted to factor in was to say that I was within that time frame of doing the award, if successful, that I would apply for the Future Leadership Programme. And I just wanted to check that was a sensible approach, because it seems, if you're already applying for the award, then you're almost applying for something else at the same time. But actually the DSE is very much about your skills and development.
Yeah, no, that's totally sensible, and we do get queries about this as well. So I think, you know, articulating that in your DSE application, but also we've had instances where, for example, I know that we've had applicants for the Development and Skills Enhancement Award. During that process, while they might be waiting to hear for feedback, there's the potential that, for example, pending success of your award, in terms of meeting that academy membership, you might want to apply to the FFLP as well. And we can just work that out in timescales, because I think the DSE can be quite short in terms of duration of award. So we can advise around, I'm just thinking around cohort timescales and things like that, because a requirement for eligibility is that you must retain academy membership for at least 6 months from the start date of the programme. But if in doubt, reach out to us. But it sounds like your approach is very, very, very sensible from my perspective, if that's helpful.
Yeah, no, it is. Thanks, Lucy. And then just to be really clear, is the academy membership only applies once you're on one of their award schemes? So that would be if the DSE was successful.
So it does, but also it would depend whether you meet the infrastructure eligibility criteria in terms of career development award, 25% funding, and obviously within the School for Primary Care Research means you're within a structure within who has remit for research capacity development. So we can check that out for you. I'm not sure whether you would, if you meet all those 3 criteria aside from the DSE perhaps, but if not, then you would need to meet that, if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
happy to discuss eligibility. You know, if
Thank
you want to
you.
pop us a note via our inbox and we can pick that up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
No worries.
Thank you, Gillian. And that's actually exactly the same for mentoring as well. In that we would always recommend with the DSE award, because it's a short time frame, that is the right approach to take, absolutely. And then we can look at cohort dates afterwards. Wonderful. I did think we had another hand raised, but I can't see that now. So do we have any more questions from the floor? Slides will be shared with all of you. And if you have any questions or just want any further information, please just reach out to myself and Lucy. We'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks,
Oh, well,
everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.